Alexandra Eala replaces Zheng when has to withdraw due to injury, but fans can now look forward to seeing Alex step in.
Ranked world number 46, she secured a direct spot in the main draw of a WTA 500 tournament featuring 7 top 10 players. The Porsche Tennis Grand Prix confirmed that Alex would step in to replace the injured young Qinwen.
Now we came here because she's also here. Of course.
In a star-studded Stuttgart lineup. Within just a few hours, the business dynamics of professional tennis began to shift in ways the WTA had not anticipated. As tournament officials rushed to revise the draw sheets, Filipino fans across 3 continents were already taking action, organizing to turn Stuttgart into the newest stage of the ELA effect.
This has never happened to me before.
Subscribe now. Secured this Stuttgart opportunity through the WTA's alternate list. No wild card, no special favor.
She's obviously such a good player.
Zheng Qinwen withdrew due to injury, and the 20-year-old Filipino stepped straight into a field featuring Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Świątek, Coco Gauff, and Elena Rybakina. Her first-round opponent, Leylah Fernandez, sets up a lefty versus lefty contest with deeper meaning. Fernandez, of Filipino-Canadian descent, faces the player representing the Philippines itself. Just days earlier, Eala had lost to Jelena Ostapenko in the second round at Linz. Now she finds herself on a premier indoor clay stage at one of Europe's most respected spring tournaments. The announcement arrived with standard corporate formality. Tournament officials posted on social media, Alexandra Eala replaces Zheng Qinwen in the main draw. Unfortunately, Qinwen has to withdraw due to injury, but fans can now look forward to seeing Alexandra step in, professional, polite, and procedural. But behind that calm message, a major commercial shift was already underway, because the WTA and Stuttgart organizers were about to experience what Indian Wells, Miami, and Linz had already learned the hard way. When Alex Eala enters a draw, the usual rules of ticket demand no longer hold. The traditional tennis system works on a simple idea. Higher rankings bring higher revenue. A number 46 player replacing a top 10 star should lead to disappointed fans and weaker sales. But Alex Eala's fanbase has spent the entire 2026 season proving that idea completely wrong. Indian Wells showed it first. When Eala's matches were scheduled, resale prices for certain sessions surged past $1,000. Not for a Serena Williams comeback, not for a Grand Slam final, but for a rising Filipino player competing in early rounds. Fans who noticed early said baseline ticket listings tripled within hours of the draw being announced. These prices were not driven by rankings. They were driven by something the WTA's economic models had never fully considered: a passionate global community willing to pay whatever it takes to watch one of their own compete on the biggest stages. Linz confirmed the same pattern weeks later. Reports from the tournament showed that about 90% of tickets for Eala's matches were bought by Filipino fans. Sessions that would normally have moderate midweek crowds turned into standing-room-only events. The Eala supporters did not just attend, they took over. Monday, Eala is listed as Qinwen's replacement. Wednesday, the draw is released, showing Fernandez in round 1. Friday, Stuttgart's opening weekend sessions begin. This tight timeline means one thing: fans have just 72 hours to secure access to what they now see as must-watch tennis. And if Indian Wells and Linz taught organizers anything, it is that 72 hours is more than enough time for the ELA effect to transform an event's entire commercial picture. Steve Flink, a longtime analyst of the Women's Tour, described Eala's rise in terms that go beyond rankings. While he was not speaking specifically about Stuttgart, his point reflects what is happening. Emerging players with strong national support are changing how tournaments define star power. Rankings no longer tell the full story. Ticket sales do. The Stuttgart field includes 4 Grand Slam champions and several former world number ones. By traditional standards, Eala should be the least commercially impactful player in the draw. But those standards stopped applying the moment her fans realized they could turn any tournament into a home crowd by securing tickets faster than anyone else. If you saw this coming, you were paying attention. Every time she pushed through 3-set matches against higher-ranked opponents, every time more flags appeared in the stands from one event to the next, it was clear something bigger was building. Rankings show results, but movements show something deeper. The matchup with Fernandez adds another layer. Two left-handers, two players connected to Filipino communities, one representing the homeland, the other the diaspora. Philippine sports media is already presenting it as more than just a first-round match. It has become a cultural moment that guarantees strong fan interest. The Porsche Tennis Grand Prix is a WTA 500 event with 47 years of history. Past champions include Martina Navratilova, Steffi Graf, and Maria Sharapova. The winner drives away in a Porsche 911 and earns prize money exceeding €160,000. This is not a small event, it is one of the key clay tournaments leading into Roland Garros. When the official statement said fans can now look forward to seeing Alexandra step in, those words carried more meaning than intended, because looking forward is exactly what tens of thousands of Filipino fans have been doing since the announcement. And for them, looking forward means constantly refreshing ticket websites, organizing travel from across Germany and beyond, and preparing to fill the Porsche Arena just as they filled previous venues. The statement may not have sounded dramatic, but it reflected a growing reality. Eala's presence matters in ways that go far beyond her ranking. Nike has shown interest in long-term sponsorships. BPI and Globe Telecom are increasing their support. Regionally, brands like Juice and Milo are expanding campaigns around her ambassador role across Southeast Asia. The financial world around Alex Eala is acting as if she is already a top 10 player, because commercially, she is. Stuttgart becomes the next example in a trend that is forcing the WTA to face an uncomfortable truth. Rankings measure performance, but they do not measure market influence. And when market influence does not match rankings, tournaments follow the demand. The clay season is just getting started. Stuttgart leads into Madrid, Rome, and Roland Garros, three tournaments where ticket demand could face the same pressure if Eala continues to advance. Tournament directors at each stop are watching closely. The French Open draw is 6 weeks away. If the ELA effect continues through the European clay swing, the impact will go beyond ticket sales. It will affect broadcast deals, sponsor activations, and even how the WTA schedules players outside the top 30. The loss to Ostapenko in Linz was tough. Eala led in the second set, had chances to force a decider, but could not finish. 4-6, 5-7. An early clay season setback that slowed her momentum just as this crucial stretch began. She did not make excuses or complain about the surface or the draw. Within 48 hours, she was on a flight to Stuttgart, preparing for a main draw opportunity that most players ranked 46 rarely receive. Indian Wells, resale surges, and $1,000 sessions. Linz showing a 90% fan takeover. Stuttgart announcing a main draw entry on April 8th, with the first match set just 6 days later. The pattern is no longer speculation. It is clear, repeatable, and growing. Alex Eala did not just enter the main draw in Germany. She triggered the next chapter in a story the WTA has struggled to fully recognize. That a 20-year-old ranked 46 is reshaping the commercial landscape of women's tennis, one sold-out session at a time. The tennis establishment measures success through ranking points and titles, but the Eala supporters measure it through flags in the crowd, tickets secured, and the clear sign that their movement cannot be ignored. Do the Stuttgart organizers fully understand what is about to happen at the Porsche Arena when Eala steps onto the court against Fernandez? Or will they join Indian Wells and Linz in underestimating what happens when an entire nation shows up? Subscribe now, because if you think Stuttgart is the peak of this story, you have not been watching closely. The clay season runs through Roland Garros, and every European tournament on the way to Paris is about to learn the same lesson. Will Eala's fan base push Stuttgart ticket prices to the same heights seen at Indian Wells? Or will this be the moment the WTA finally accepts that the ELA effect is real? Share your prediction in the comments.